Hey guys, it's Simon here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're doing another comic book review. Today we're looking at Top Cow Holiday Special. This is a one-shot. Technically, I guess it would also be number one, but I think that's just a weird way the comic book industry likes to label everything. This is not a number one. There's only one of these a year. It's a one-shot, and it's pretty cool. I enjoyed it, mostly for the sake of it being kind of funny to have these kind of, holiday things related to these types of characters, right? So, I would have liked to see something related to Fathom. I'm pretty sure Fathom is owned by Image, right? Or maybe it's not. I can't remember how the rights to it kind of went, right? But I would have liked to see more Fathom stuff. I think it'd be cool if that, makes a comeback, but it's not important. The three characters that are featured here on the cover are the characters that these stories focus on. So there's three stories. The first one is called the Befana. And the Befana is a Italian Christmas witch. And this one is done by the Witchblade team. So, you have Margaret Bennett, Cafaro, and what's his name? I think Prianto does the colors here. And, whoever does the lettering usually does the lettering for all of these, right? And this story is pretty cute. It's not, super meaningful to the main plot, but it is a good Christmas story within the confines of like the Witchblade, right? It focuses on Sarah, and she's actually talking about her grandmother and sharing her experience as an Italian American, right? She talks about the Befana, who is a Italian Christmas witch. She mentions that this is kind of like some sort of pagan leftover from back in the day that got introduced or brought back into culture at some point. And she mentions a bunch of other, witch ladies from mythology across Europe that are basically the same creature as Befana. And she mentions that her grandmother really loved this character and that her grandmother would dress like the Befana to take part in the Christmas parades and stuff like that in New York. And she talks about the tradition of the Befana, which is basically if you're a good kid, she leaves you candy. If you're a bad kid, she leaves you onions and garlic. And honestly, I feel like that would probably make me be a bad kid if I was a little Italian boy, because I'd rather have like proper food than candy, right? Like, especially because garlic and onions are like the baseline for most, enjoyable dishes. But that's not really important. The point is that we flash back to Sarah as a child. It's a Christmas day. She gets some candy from the Befana, and she also gets a bit of garlic from the Befana. And because she believes, she searches her house to see if there's any other extra things, anything else that could be found. And I think it's under the couch or something. She finds a piece of paper stuck in between the floorboards. And when she pulls it out, it turns out that it's a picture of Sarah and her dad. And so Sarah is convinced that the Befana is real because she gave Sarah this beautiful gift, a memory of her father, because at this point I'm guessing her father has died or been killed, and so she's very happy about this. From there, we transition over to the fact that Sarah is not a grown woman, and she has been given another witch gift, which is the Witchblade, and she doesn't know if it's good or bad, but she hopes that she can make it a good thing, right? And I like that. I think it's pretty valuable, right? And I guess it also ties into the picture of her father, because it's kind of bittersweet, right? Like, she's happy that she has this new memory of her father, but at the same time, it reminds her that her father is dead. And so the Witchblade does the same thing, where it gives her amazing, beautiful power and makes her, more attractive and stronger and all of these things, but also she loses control of herself in exchange. And so it's good and bad, right? And so I think that that was pretty good thematically. I like that. The second story is The Night Before Darkness, and this is a darkness, story. It doesn't really focus on darkness. It's actually about these little goblin things, which I think are called Darklings, and it's written by Mark Silvestri. It has art by Tina Valentino, who I think does a great job here. Ellie Wright does the inking, and Fabio Mantovani does the coloring, I think. So that's kind of how it all works there. I think Tina mostly does the pencils, right? And basically, this is another Christmas story. It opens up on Christmas Eve. The goblin dad is reading to his children, and he tells them this story, and it actually reminds me a lot of the Santa Claus, if you've ever seen that movie, where the dad is falling asleep. He notices or hears something on the roof, he goes up and he realizes that it's Santa, and he messes with Santa, and so Santa gets knocked out, and he has to find a way to make sure that Santa's gifts get to the children. Otherwise, in this case, the goblin's not going to get his wife to give him a present, if that's suggested enough for you guys to understand what I mean. And so he figures out that the best thing to do is call the darkness. And so he texts the darkness, and he's like, hey man, sorry, I knocked out Santa. Can you go deliver gifts for us so that all the children are happy? And eventually he manages to convince the darkness to do so, and then the darkness goes off to deliver gifts. And, the goblin dad also gets some presents of his own from his lovely goblin wife, right? So this is a pretty funny story. I enjoyed it. I just like the idea of these like weird little goblin people just living somewhere and having like what's it called? Like the god of destruction basically at their fingertips. That I think that's pretty funny. I guess the darkness isn't the god of destruction, but like an equivalent kind of character, right? And I thought it was fun. They save Christmas and it's enjoyable. And then the last story is 12 Days. This is an Aphrodite IX story, right? Or Aphrodite IX. I'm pretty sure that's Roman numeral for 9, right? So Aphrodite IX. And it's by Matt Hawkins with, what's his name? Atilio Rojo. I don't know if that's the right way to say his name. There might be like an accent there somewhere that, they didn't write down because it's in English. But Atilio Rojo. And this is, like 600 years in the future, 2840 AD. Aphrodite IX is running through this compound fighting a bunch of robots, and they're all themed after the 12 Days of Christmas song. So she fights 12 things one day, 11 things another day, 9, and so on and so forth. And she has to like progressively do this over and over again. And eventually she does manage to finish the compound, and she unlocks a door that releases a giant robot guy who's dressed like St. Nicholas or Santa Claus. And that's basically the end there. That's all there is to this. The last story is probably the worst. It wasn't just because I'm not interested. The first story is pretty good because it adds character to Sarah, but it's not really meaningful to the main story. And the second story is fun. I enjoy it for the world building aspects. There's also something I noticed, which is that it says on the page before, which is the page that relates to the story, that this takes place after Witchblade issue 12. Now, we're only on issue 5 right now. So does that mean you're supposed to read this on issue 12, or does this relate to the original Witchblade series? It wasn't clear, and maybe it wasn't even about the Darkness story. It might have been about the Befana story, but that's not explained correctly, so I don't know what it relates to. But there is kind of this note there that says, you should read this again later after a certain issue, which is issue 12 of Witchblade. So we'll have to see. I didn't bother checking against my copy of the classic Witchblade, the complete edition, just because I didn't have time last night and I didn't remember to do so this morning until right now. But it's not really important, right? Otherwise, the book is dedicated to Elena Salcedo, who recently passed away, and it's very sad and tragic. I don't know her. I don't know what, why she's so important to Top Cow and to Image, but I appreciate all of the effort that's been put in to make sure that she is remembered by others, right, and respected in her passing away. So I appreciate that, even if I don't have any personal connection to this. And I like that the way they included her throughout the stories was by putting pictures of her in the book. So I appreciate that. Overall, good stuff. I think that if you enjoy the universes that Top Cow kind of manages, you probably should enjoy this. You should go and check it out. But it is not essential reading. It's just kind of for fun, right? So there you go. Those are my thoughts on Top Cow Holiday Special number 1 for 2024. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys later.